By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to publish a high-quality book on Amazon KDP. Not just a high-quality book, but a high-quality book that can actually grow over time and actually bring in some income for you. Because you might be one of those publishers that published a book and is actually losing money on their book. If you're losing money on a book, there's a reason you're losing money on a book. And by the end of this video, you're going to see which one of these steps you're missing, or you might be doing it incorrectly, and that's costing you money. Now, what we're going to cover in this video is exactly how to publish a book on Amazon KDP from start to finish, one that can actually bring in some income for you. First, we're going to start off with the research, because first we need to actually figure out what book is going to bring us in money. If you already have a book, then great. You don't have to do the research, or you can at least watch the research part to see if your book can actually make you money or not. Because you might have a book that is researched incorrectly, and then you're just throwing money on ads. You're trying to fix a book that is never going to work. It's never going to bring you in money. So you're going to know exactly if you even have a book that can bring in money. Then we're going to cover creation, which is how to actually create a high quality book, because no one wants to buy a bad book. So I'm going to show you how to create a high quality book, books that people actually want to buy. Then we're going to cover the metadata. This is everything the Amazon algorithm needs, because you want to befriend the Amazon algorithm. You don't just want to randomly put keywords. You want to select the right keywords, put them in the right places. I'm going to show you everything. Don't worry about it. And then it's launching. If you launch incorrectly, you're missing half your sales, basically. The launch is very, very, very important. And if you launch effectively, then you can actually rank #1. If you don't launch correctly, you're making it harder for yourself to rank #1. Still possible, it's just a lot harder. And then finally, what everyone is dreading, every single publisher dreads the ads, even though it's like the easiest part. You press like 2 buttons and then you're good. But don't worry, I'm going to show you the ads as well. It's definitely not as hard as people think. If you're struggling with ads, I'm telling you right now, you're overcomplicating it. If you're struggling with ads, you're overcomplicating it. But don't worry, I'm making this video, you're going to know exactly how to actually use ads to scale your book. Now, if it's your first time publishing a book, then great. All your anxiety is going to be gone by the end of this video, because you're going to know exactly what to do. If you've already published a book and it's not making money, great. All your anxiety is going to be gone, because you're going to know exactly what step you're missing. If you're making a bunch of money with your book already, then great. You'll probably learn some things that can make you even more money, because every single step has like not like a percentage, but you can increase the quality of each step, so you can increase the amount of income you're bringing in with your book. So if you're already making money with ads, then you can amplify your ads and make even more money. If you're already making money and you amplify your book cover, you can make even more money or even more sales. If you're already making money and you amplify your SEO, you can boost your book. You can show up even higher in the rankings. You can make even more money, even more sales. So no matter at what stage you are in your journey, you're going to find this video extremely valuable. But anyway, enough with the clickbaity things. The first thing we need to do is research. Now, personally, for me, research is not the most boring part, but it's the one that I dread the most, because there's not really a lot of creativity that goes on. I like doing the book covers and the interior formatting and things like that, but research, extremely important. It's literally the first step. If you mess up the first step, nothing else matters. If you don't do the research correctly, your book cover doesn't matter, your ads don't matter, because you messed up the first step. If you're building a house, right? If you build your house on quicksand, this is supposed to be quicksand, this is your research. The quicksand is your research. If you build a house on quicksand, it doesn't matter how good the house is or how nice the furniture is inside or how high quality the walls are or whatever, it's going to collapse. It's built on quicksand. However, if you build a house which is on a solid surface, I don't know how houses are built, but I'm pretty sure they like dig holes and they put solid things inside, then great. That means you have solid research. The research is the foundation of your book. It's what your book is what your, I can't even speak. Is what your book is built upon. Great. I need more coffee. So research. How do we make sure that we do research effectively? How do we build a book on a solid foundation? Well, let me ask you this. Do we want to make a book that's going to make us money? Or do we want to make a book that's not going to make us money? Now, I know it sounds like a stupid question, but really, really think about it. Do we want a book that's going to make us a bunch of money, or a book that's barely going to make us money? We want a book that's going to make us a bunch of money, right? So if we want a book that's going to make us a bunch of money, what type of book are we going to make? Are we going to make a book where other people are making a bunch of money and a bunch of sales? Or are we going to make a book that other people are not making a lot of money? Right? And I know it sounds simple and it sounds stupid, but I see a lot of publishers that struggle with this part. Obviously, we want to make this type of book, a book that's going to make us a bunch of money. Great. So if we have a bucket and we need to collect water, and you personally, I'm asking you personally, you have a bucket and you need to fill up this bucket with water, right? Are you going to go to a massive waterfall where a bunch of water is falling down? Or are you going to go to the waterfall where there's like a few droplets falling? Which one of these is going to fill up your bucket of water first? Obviously this one, right? Obviously the bunch of water or a bunch of water. I can't speak English. Obviously this one, right? But why? Why is this going to fill it up more? Because there's more water available, right? Okay, great. So with this being said, if I tell you what niche are you publishing in, your answer, if you want to actually publish in a niche that is going to make you money, then you need to publish in a niche where other people are already making money. They're already making sales. Now, I speak to some publishers, they come to me and they say, but Barry, I have this really good idea. No one's ever done it before. I think it's going to be really, really good, but no one's ever done it before. Well, if no one's ever done it before, how do you know if it's going to make you sales or not? You're basically gambling your business, or you're gambling on your book. And I'm telling you, you're gambling on the most vital part. You're gambling on the research, the most important part, the foundation. You're building a house on quicksand. You do not want to do that. Especially if you're a beginner, you definitely want to publish in a niche where people are already making money and they're already making sales. Now, yes, you're going to have to compete with them, but that's the whole point of this video. I'm going to show you how to compete with them. It's way easier than you think. It's not as hard as you think. It's super simple. I promise you. Everything is already there. The information is already there. You just have to put it in a book. I'll show you everything. I promise you. However, we need to publish in a niche where people are already making sales and already making money because there's proof, because we have data. We base all of our business decisions on data. If you're publishing without basing your decisions on data, then you're publishing out of ego. And don't worry, I used to do the exact same thing. Every book I used to publish was based on my ego. What did I think? Do I think the book cover is good? Do I think this niche is going to work? No one, I don't want to swear, but no one cares what I think. Honestly, no one cares what I think. No one cares what you think. The only thing you should care about is, what does the data tell you? Does the data tell you that a book in the Mexican cookbook niche, is it selling? If there's 5 different Mexican cookbooks selling a bunch of copies a day, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 copies a day, great. You actually have a chance of selling a Mexican cookbook for 50 copies a day or 30 copies a day or 15 copies a day. But if there's a niche where it's like, what kind of other cookbook can I think of now? Oh, how to fix air conditions. I know it's not a cookbook, but there's an air conditioner right there, so that's what I thought of. If there is a niche, how to fix air conditions, and there's 4 books in that niche and none of them are selling, why would you make a how to sell air conditions book? Because you're really good at air conditioners? Great. That's an ego thing. You're really good at air conditioners, but no one cares that you're good at air conditions or fixing air conditions. I hope, that probably sounds mean, but I hope you get my point. So how do we do this? Super, super easy. With every single book on Amazon KDP, you're going to get an ABSR. This ABSR is an Amazon bestseller rank. If you click on a book and you scroll all the way down, you're going to see an ABSR number. This ABSR number represents how many copies you're selling a day. If there was a race between Amazon, your position, the number that this says, that's your position in the race based on how many sales you're making a day. If your number is number 1, you're making the most amount of sales in books on Amazon. I hope that makes sense. If you're number 50,000, or if the book has the ABSR number is 50,000, they're the 50,000th most sold book on Amazon, right? So if the number is 100,000, that means you're usually selling around 1 copy a day. So we usually want to find books in a niche where they have 100,000 or below. If you can find multiple books with 100,000 or below, then they're making a few sales. Now, 100,000 is not the best number, but it shows that it's at least selling 1 copy a day. You can probably look for 80,000 or 70,000 or below, because 80,000 is like 2 sales, 50,000 might be like 4 or 5 sales. If you want to be 100% accurate, well, not 100% accurate, but if you want to be more accurate, you can go online, go on Google, type in ABSR calculator, and then you can open up Kindlepreneur's calculator. That's what I use. And then what you can do is select the marketplace, put the number of your competitor's book, and then you can see exactly how many sales they're making. Put the ABSR number, put their marketplace, and then put the format, whether it's ebook or paperback. And then you can see roughly how many sales they're making. If you find multiple books making sales, great. What does that mean? That means you have demand in a niche. Now, is this demand based on your ego or is it based on data? It's based on data. Because there are other books making sales, so you can make sales as well. So finding a profitable niche is as simple as this. You literally just have to find books that are already making sales in your niche and then just publishing that. There's a bunch of niches out there. There's so many different ways to find it. You can search through the autocomplete. You can just search based on ideas. So Mexican cookbook. And then look at all the Mexican cookbooks. Look at their ABSR. Are they selling? They're not selling. Great. Mexican cookbook is probably not a good niche for you to publish it. If you want to go even deeper, you can search Mexican cookbook, for example, and then you can click on some carousels. So if you click on a book, there's carousels underneath. Sometimes even more books show up there and different niches. So from Mexican cookbook, you might find how to make tacos. So it's a taco specific cookbook. And then you search tacos cookbook. And then you see a bunch of them, and you might see a bunch of taco cookbooks selling. So now you know, hey, I can probably make a tacos cookbook. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but that's basically how you do the research. There's more ways as well, but this is what you're looking for. You're looking for a niche where people are already making money. Do not publish in a niche where people will basically no one's making money, no one's making sales. Also, don't publish in a niche based on your idea. If you just want to publish a book and you don't really care about how much money you make, great. You can publish whatever book you want. However, if you care about how many sales you're making, how much money you're making, you publish in a niche where people are already making sales, already making money, because you're relying on data, not yourself. Great. So now that we've figured out a niche where there is demand and we have data that says, hey, there's a bunch of demand in this niche, people are making money, people are making sales, what are we going to do? What's the next step? Next step is even more simple than this. Are you ready? You're going to have, let's say, a bunch of books. These are only the books that are making sales. I'm going to say all the ones under 100,000. Now, bear in mind, if there's a variation of ABSRs, that's even better. If this guy's on 80,000 ABSR, this guy's on 50,000 ABSR. I know this probably doesn't say 50. This guy's on 30,000. And this one says 70,000. And then this guy's on like 5,000. And then this guy's on 700. Then great. There's a bunch of variation here. So there's different people to compete with. Now, this isn't the most important thing, but if there's like one person on 1,000 ABSR, and then everyone else is on 90,000, so they're barely making a sale a day, then again, you're seeing that as kind of like a monopoly. So all of these guys are on 90,000, then they're making like one sale a day, and only one guy's making like 100 sales a day. So now we know there's a monopoly. You can still steal some sales from this guy, but it's a little bit harder. If you see that there's like variations of ABSRs, then great. You could probably like steal a lot of the market share inside the niche. Now, once you find your niche, here's what you're going to do. You're not just going to make a book. That's what everyone does. This step that I'm going to show you now is the step that most publishers miss. They completely miss it. They completely skip it. Why? Again, the same thing. They're not relying on data. But guess what? You're watching Barry KDP. We are relying on data. Everything has to do with data. We're not publishing out of like nothingness. We're publishing based on data. Whatever the data tells us, we're going to follow the data. Data is never, ever, 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 ever going to lie to you because it's data, right? So the question that we're asking is, well, how are we going to compete with these guys, right? Because the whole point is us to make a book that's better than them, right? We're not going to make a book that's worse than them because guess what's going to happen? We're going to end up in the books where no one's buying it. So how do we make a book that's better than them? Well, we're not just going to randomly think of something. First of all, super, super easy. We already have the books that are making sales. They're already there. We know who they are. We know what books they are. Guess what we're going to do? We're actually going to look at our competitors. We're going to see what they're doing. It sounds insane, but that's exactly what we're going to do. A lot of publishers skip this. I can't believe they do, but I used to be one of those, so it's okay. But we're going to look at what they are doing. So if this guy's making sales, and this guy's making sales, and this guy's making sales, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy, they're all making sales, there is a reason why they're making sales. We need to figure out that reason. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to take all of them, and then we're going to look at two things. We need two things. Only these two things is what we need. We need to see what's good, right? And we need to see what's bad about the books. And also, as a side or a bonus thing, we need to look at all the similarities. In the niche that we picked, let's just say we picked how to make tacos. Okay, there's a bunch of different tacos that we can make. All of them are selling. Well, not all of them, but these guys are selling. There is a bunch of books that aren't selling, right? There's probably a bunch of books in that niche that are not selling. Now, there's a reason why some of those books are not selling, and there's a reason why some of these books are selling. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to analyze every single one of these and see what is similar between them. Why are all of these selling and the other ones aren't selling? We're going to see all the similarities, and then we can also see the similarities between the people that aren't selling. So guess what? We're going to see common patterns. Now, these common patterns can be literally anything. It can be the amount of recipes in sight, because we're doing, well, a taco's cookbook. It can be the colors of their book covers and things like that. We'll get into book covers later on. I'm not going to confuse you, but it's usually the content in sight, or maybe how the content is presented. So for example, all of these might have colored interiors, and all the ones that are not selling might have black and white interiors. Based on that, based on the data that I just told you, all the ones that are selling have colored interiors, and all the ones that aren't selling have black and white. What are you going to do? Are you going to publish a black and white book? If you are, I don't know what to say, but because we have the data, we want to publish a colored book, right? We want to look at the similarities between the people that are already selling. Just look at the data. It's super, super simple. So we're going to try and find as many similarities as we possibly can, write them down, and then now you actually have an idea of what type of book you're going to make. You're not just randomly making a book because you found a niche. Oh, how to make tacos? Okay, I'm going to start making the book. No, you don't even know what book you're making. You literally have no idea if your book is even going to compete. That's why a lot of people come to me, a lot of publishers come to me, and they're like, hey, I published this book, the niche seemed good, but mine was not selling. Great, what research should you do? Why is your one better than competitors? I don't know. You need to know. You need to have something better than your competitors. You need to have something unique. Now, here's the thing. You can find the similarities yourself, which is completely fine. That's what I recommend you do. And then once you figure out the similarities yourself, here's what you can do. Again, we don't really want to rely purely on ourselves, right? Our ego is terrible. We're not going to rely on our ego, especially if you know nothing about publishing books. If you're a beginner, why would you rely on a beginner? Why would you rely on someone that doesn't know anything about book publishing to publish a book, right? It's like hiring someone that doesn't know anything about book publishing to publish your book. So if you're a beginner, or even if you're intermediate, you know what, even if you're experienced, you shouldn't be relying purely on yourself. You should rely on data, because data never lies. What we can do is, first of all, we look at it ourselves and we find similarities and differences and all of that. And we start to understand the niche better, because we need to understand the niche, what customers are looking for. Remember, we're making a book for customers, not for ourselves. But we can also look at the data. Now, where can we go? Where can we go where we can see customer data based on these books? Where can we go to see the good things that are in the book and the bad things that are in the book? It's going to sound so simple, but it is simple. We literally go to the reviews. Reviews. That's the whole point of people leaving reviews. They're not just leaving it for other customers. They're leaving it for you. You could read the reviews and see what they're saying about these books. You literally have endless pieces of data. Well, not endless, but you have multiple pieces of data that are pointing you towards what do customers that buy the book that you're about to publish like, and what do customers that buy the book that you're about to publish don't like. And basically, you're like 80% of the way there. Because you have the data, you found a niche where people are already buying the books, there's demand, you know people are willing to give their money for your book because they have already given their money for previous books in that same niche. And then you know what's bad about everyone in that niche. You know what they're missing. You know what they're lacking. Guess what you're going to do with your book? Do you think you're not going to put these things in, or you are going to put these things in? You're going to take the bad things that the customers are saying, hey, we don't like this about these books, and you're going to flip it around and make sure you put it in your book as a good thing. So for example, if they say, hey, all of these books have amazing recipes, that's a good thing, amazing recipes, but they don't have enough images. Great. You can literally take the exact same recipes because they already like it and just put more images, and your book is better. You have a book that can compete with these guys. Now guess what? That's one example. You probably have hundreds and hundreds of reviews to look through. You're going to see hundreds of pieces of data that point towards all the good things and all the bad things. And you can easily spot similarities between the people that are winning, the people that are losing. And then now you have a bunch of data that tells you what book you need to make that's actually going to make you money. Not because Barry said so, or you said so, or your neighbor said so, because the data told you, because the marketplace told you. That's how you publish a book that can actually bring in money. If you don't do this correctly, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. If you skip the market research, nothing else matters. Now, here's where you actually become a gangster. Here's how you actually publish a book that completely destroys everyone. Once you've done this, you can figure out something that none of these guys have. This is called a USP. A USP is your unique selling point. What does this mean? This means that your book has something inside that's unique to your book. Because it's unique, you're not even competing with these guys. You're like a different level, right? You're unique. No one has it. What do I mean by that? I'm not going to go too deep into it because I have a whole video on my channel about figuring out your USP. But if all of these guys are doing, let's say, tacos, we're going to stick with that niche, how to create tacos. We figured out that the recipes are good. We figured out that there's not enough images. Great. I'm going to have the same recipes. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to have better images. Guess what else I'm going to have? My unique selling point is so that's going to amplify my book, amplify the value of my book. So what I could do is how to make tacos in 5 steps or less. This is my unique selling point because this is probably how to make tacos, how to make spicy tacos, how to make tacos for beginners, how to make tacos for beginners, how to make tacos for beginners. My one is how to make tacos in 5 steps or less. No one else has 5 steps or less. It might be the exact same recipes. All of these guys might actually have 5 steps or less. But guess what? I'm calling it out. I'm putting it in my title. I'm putting it in my branding. I have my USP. People are going to be like, oh, this one is unique to all of these. I'm going to buy this guy. That's how you become a bestseller in a niche. You need to have a USP. Obviously, you can become a bestseller without a USP. But if you have a USP, it's way easier. It's way easier for you to stand out because when people are searching through the niche, they're not just going to click on your book and buy your book. They're going to click on your book. They're going to click on all of these. They're going to browse and compare, and then they're going to pick the best one. And they're going to give you money. And if you have a USP, if you have a way of standing out against your competitors, you're placed in like a separate box. You're the 5 steps or less guy. I had a client, we did this exact same thing. We did this exact thing. And her USP was 5 ingredients or less. She published in a cookbook niche, massive niche, super competitive niche. She put 5 steps or less. We worked together. She was on like 200 ABSR or 400 ABSR. I can't remember exactly the ABSR. Obviously, it was hovering, but it was around 150 sales a day only in the US marketplace. She was making a bunch more sales in the UK marketplace and some sales in Canada as well. But US alone, 150 copies a day. She was doing 15K in revenue a month. And her USP was 5 ingredients or less. However, I'm not saying if you just put 5 ingredients or less, you're going to make 15K. That's not how it works. However, I think that's it. I think that's it for the research. If you have these things in place, great. You did better research than 99% of publishers out there. Let's move on to the next step. Now, this step is actually one of the, well, I'm not going to say complicated ones, but this is one of the, it's a vital step. So it is the one that's going to require some effort. The other steps are a lot easier, a lot more simple. And yep, I mean, if you get this correct, then the other ones are just like, you're just flowing. Because you already have all the data that tells you exactly what to do afterwards. Great, so now that we researched our book, let's actually create our book, right? Now, when it comes to creating the book, again, I'm going to ask such a dumb question, but it's very, very important. Do you think you have a higher chance of selling if you create a low quality book or a high quality book? Obviously a high quality book, right? Because if you see a low quality book, would you buy it? Would you buy a low quality book? No, you wouldn't, but you would buy a high quality book. If you buy books, say you look at the books that you have, the books that you buy, they're probably high quality, right? You probably buy books from established authors because you know the writing is going to be good and the quality inside is going to be good. You probably buy books where the book covers are made by professional designers because it's professional book covers. You want to show off the books in your bookshelf or on your coffee table or whatever. You always want high quality. So if you're publishing low quality books, don't be surprised that no one's buying your book because it's low quality. However, I'm going to show you how to make high quality books. Now, when it comes to publishing on Amazon KDP, there's 2 things that make up a book, right? The first one is the interior. This is the interior of your book. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how to make a high quality interior. Now, there's many, many different ways that you can do it, but there's a few steps that you need to know. First step, before you start making your interior, you need to figure out what you're going to put inside, right? What's actually going to be inside your book. You're not just going to snap your fingers and then you made a book. And you're also not going to go on ChatGPT and say, make me a book about this subject, and it's going to make you a high quality book. Remember, we're talking about quality. I'm not here to tell you how to make random bad AI books. I'm talking about high quality books, books that can make you money for years, not just like 1 or 2 months. You're here to publish a book, create a publishing business, right? I'm not here to show you how to make side hustles. I'm here to show you how to run a business. Now, the first thing is your outline. Now, when it comes to your outline, you can hire someone if you want to do the outline for you, but it's really not necessary because it's way more simple than you think. You already did your research, right? I'm telling you, if you did your research correctly, like I showed you, then awesome. You basically have everything laid out for you. It's really not that hard to do things by yourself if you have the correct research. If you don't have the correct research, it's a lot harder to do things by yourself because you have no idea where to start. But we did the research and now it's time to make the outline. Guess what the outline is? All the outline is, if you don't know what an outline is, it's basically chapters. So let's say we have chapter 1. In chapter 1, you're probably going to have like some sub-chapters or subheadings or whatever. And then under each subheading, you're going to have like 4 or 5 bullet points of what to talk about. So if we're doing a cookbook, the tacos is like a little bit different. If it's a cookbook, it's way more simple. It's just a bunch of recipes. You're going to have an introduction. Here's the recipes, conclusion. Obviously, if you want to get more creative, you can add more things to it. But let's say we're doing another book. Let's say we're doing like a high content book. We're doing something like beekeeping, right? So chapter 1 might talk about safety. Okay, safety. So if we're doing a beekeeping book, chapter 1 might talk about how to stay safe when like collecting honey and things like that. So chapter 1 is going to be safety, right? And then under safety, we're going to have multiple subheadings. So the first one might be equipment, right? So what equipment do I need to stay safe? Another subheading might be, well, what's it called? Like precautions or like safety measures. There we go, safety measures. And then another subchapter might be something like the most common reasons why people get stung or something like that. By the way, I'm thinking of this on the top of my head, but I hope you get the point. The most common reasons people get stung and then how to avoid it. Chapter 1 is safety. The subheading is equipment. And then you're going to have bullet points for each subheading. So equipment might be like headgear and then the outfit, maybe gloves, things like that. Measures. It can be, well, I don't know. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I know nothing about looking after bees, but I hope you get the point. Okay, how to fix an air condition. Let's do that. So again, chapter 1 might be the history of air conditions. Actually, just to make it easier, is how to fix. So let's say common problems. And then, so chapter 1 is common problems. Then subheading might be water leaks. Another subheading might be smells. So sometimes your air conditioner might smell because there's like mold inside and things like that. And then things like that. And then under each subheading would be exactly what things you want to point out, what things you want to talk about, what things want to be included inside. So water leaks, it can be dripping water. It can be, you know, the water on top. You have like this big water, like it collects the water. I don't know what you have in your country, but in my country, it's like the air conditioner, it connects to the thing. There's something on top of my house where there's like, it just collects a bunch of water. Sometimes that gets blocked and then that causes leaks. Now, I'm sure there's like multiple different reasons why there can be water leaks for air conditioners. We're going to have all the different reasons here. And then we're basically going to have a full outline. Chapter 1, subheading, here's what we talk about in this subheading. Another subheading, here's what we talk about. I don't know if I overcomplicated this or not, but I hope this makes sense. Now, obviously, if you're doing a cookbook, it's way easier. It's just a bunch of recipes. But if you're doing a high content book, then your outline is a little bit different. You need more information. Now, guess what? The outline, you don't even have to do a bunch of research. Do you know why? Why do you not have to do a bunch of research? Because you already did the research here. You already have competitors. Now, guess what? This is so simple, by the way, so simple. If you go to your competitors and you take a look at the look inside feature, so I'm sure you know what the look inside feature is. You click on a competitor and then it says look inside or read sample. If you click on that, what's the first thing that pops up? You're going to have your title page and you go down and then you see your table of contents, right? Guess what the table of contents is? That's basically your outline. Your table of contents tells you chapter 1 is about this, chapter 2 is about this, chapter 3 is about this. And then for most books, under each chapter would be the sub-chapters. So just by looking at the table of contents, you know exactly what the book is talking about. You know exactly what your competitors are talking about, in what order they're placing everything. Everything is there for you. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. You can just copy their table of contents. You can add your own things if you want. You can take away things. Again, you know your niche better than me. I can't predict your niche. But they already have your table of contents. So you don't really have to pay someone. You don't really have to do anything. Everything is there for you. Now, if you want to amplify your outline, then again, you can look at the reviews, just like we talked about earlier. If you look at the reviews, that's data that tells you what they like and what they don't like, and then you can adjust your outline based on the reviews. If they say, hey, these books were missing this specific thing, great. You're going to add that specific thing to your outline. So you make sure you're not missing it. So you make sure you have the advantage. Look at the data. I'm not telling you to do anything that's not there in front of you. I haven't even told you to think about anything yet. I just told you, look at the data. Table of contents is already there. Reviews are already there. Your competitors are already there. Everything is already there for you. It's just you have to put the effort in to absorb the information, basically. So outline is done. Next thing, now that you have the outline, you know what to write about. Now, when it comes to the writing, this is what most publishers struggle with. Now, you don't really have many options when it comes to writing. If you're a writer, then great. You can write it yourself. So you can just do it yourself, DIY. However, if you're not a writer, you don't know anything about writing, you really only have two options. The first option is to hire a ghostwriter. Now, when it comes to hiring the ghostwriter, that's completely fine because you already have your outline, right? The more detailed your outline is, the easier it is for the ghostwriter to not mess up. If you give them the broadest outline in the world, then they have to go out there and do extra research and things like that. So the more detailed your outline is, the easier you're making it for them. And they can just focus on actually writing the book, not really doing the research. Now, hiring, depending on the book, it might cost you quite a bit of money. Is it worth it? Absolutely it's worth it. However, if you're not willing to spend like $1,000, $1,500, sometimes you can find lower quality ones. You don't have to spend $1,000, but obviously the price is going to determine the quality. If I find the ghostwriter that's charging $800 for a 30,000 word book, I guarantee it's not going to be as good. Well, I'm not going to guarantee, but I can assume that it's not going to be as good as someone that's charging $3,000 for 30,000 words. Now, again, like, it's not just the price. You can't just rely on the price. You also want to read. You want to ask for samples. If you are going to hire, here's what you should do. Please, please, please do this. Please do this before you hire. If you're going to hire someone and you're going to spend $1,000, $1,500 or whatever you're going to spend, here's what you're going to do. You're going to find 3 to 5 people to hire. If you want more, that's completely fine. 3 to 5 people. You're going to find them. You can go on Upwork, freelance websites. You can go on ghostwriting websites. There's websites like Urban Writers, and there's so many out there. So many out there. I'm not here to promote anyone. You do your own research. Don't come to me and say, Barry said to go to this website, but they weren't good. No, I didn't say anything. You do your own research. Do your own research. Figure out which one you want to go for. If you want to have more control, you can go on freelance websites, Upwork, Fiverr. I don't know about Fiverr. Fiverr was good. If you do the right research, you might be able to find someone good on Fiverr. But usually, I don't find high quality writers on Fiverr. I find higher quality writers on Upwork. But there's more websites out there. Again, do your own research. But you can either find freelancers or you can find ghostwriting companies. And then what you can do is, well, not with a ghostwriting company, but if you're going to hire freelancers, you can find 5 different freelancers and then pay them like a small amount to write like 1,000 words or 1,500 words. And what you want to do is look at their quality, their actual quality of writing, because now you're looking at real work, not just their portfolio. They can fake portfolios. They can do a bunch of things. So you want to look at, remember what we said? Data, right? Everything is based on data. I have not told you anything yet that isn't based on data. Basically, hire 5 different writers, 3 to 5 writers. If you want more, that's fine. You're going to look at a small sample so you don't waste a bunch of money on a low quality writer. And then you're going to get them to all write the exact same thing, the exact same part of a table of contents. Don't get them to write the introduction, right? Don't go there and be like, okay, well, let's just start the book, write the introduction. No, get them to write something right in the middle. Get them to write something in chapter 4, for example, and then see how they write it, compare between these, pick the best one. Pick the one that sounds the nicest. And then great, let's say it's this guy. Now you can give this guy the work. And what you can do is do milestones. So if you're doing like 30,000 words, you can do 10,000 words, milestones, then another 10,000, and then another 10,000. That way you're only paying per milestone. So if this guy costs $1,000 for 30,000 words, you might say $350 here, and then you're going to read the 10,000 words. If they look good, you give them $350, and you continue. If they don't look good, great. Now you know you just messed up. You have to go find another writer. But it only costs you $350 instead of $1,000. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I went too fast with this, but I hope that makes sense. Look at the data. Hire a bunch of people, look at the samples, pick the best one, and then hire them for the full amount. And when you do hire them, make sure you do milestones. Don't give them a big lump sum. Do milestones so you have more control. Now, if this sounds like too much, then here's your next option. And I know I'm going to get a bunch of hate from this, but listen to me, please. Please, before you click off. You can use AI to write a book. However, very, 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 very important. You can use AI to write a book, but that's not it. That's not just it. You're not going to go on ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, write me a book on how to make tacos. Terrible. Terrible. Whatever you tell ChatGPT is what you should tell your employee, right? So if you hire someone to write a book for you and you give them very, very, very broad information, they're probably going to give you a low quality book, or they're probably going to give you a book that you don't even want, right? So when it comes to writing a book with AI, there's a specific process that you need to go through. I can't go through the thing right now. I can't show you everything. This video is already too long, but you can write high quality books with AI as long as you do it correctly. If you go on it and then you give AI 2 prompts, there's some people that come to me, they're like, Barry, you could write a book with 1 prompt. I'm like, I don't want to write a book with 1 prompt. That's like saying you can marry a girl after going on 1 date. I don't want to marry a girl after going on 1 date. I want to go on multiple dates. I want to see if this is actually the person for me. Same thing with writing a book with AI. I don't just want to put 2 prompts. I'm not lazy. Like if you're lazy, just because you're going to use AI doesn't mean you're going to make a high quality book. It's all about quality. You can't be lazy, even with AI. So just to give you an idea, when I write my books with AI, and by the way, you can write super high quality books with AI as long as you do it correctly. When I write my books with AI, because I used to write my books when I was broke, I used to write my books. When I wrote my books as a writer, I'm not the best writer in the world, but as a writer, I went through at least 5 drafts when I wrote my book. Guess what? I'm not just going to use AI to go through 1 draft. I do the same thing with AI. The same process I use when writing my books is the same process I use with AI. I'm not going to reveal too much because I only share how I write high quality books with AI. And by the way, again, data. I'm not here to lie to you about anything. I'm not here to give you my opinion. I think this book is good. No, everything I'm saying is based on data. I have a private community. I'm not here to sell you anything. Don't worry. I have a private community for my students that are inside my program. What I've done is I created a poll and I put 3 different versions of a book. 2 versions were written with AI. 1 of them was written by a human. And I asked my community, my private students, these are high quality publishers making thousands of dollars a month. I asked them, which one of these 3 books do you think is human? They all picked manuscript B. Not all of them, but most of them picked B. So the people that picked B, they said B is human. Guess what B was? B was my book written with AI. All of them were written with AI. But the first 2 were written how everyone usually writes with AI. And the one that seemed human was the way I wrote it with AI. So was AI the problem? No. It's the person behind AI the problem. So if you're not creating high quality books with AI, then you're the problem, not AI. AI can do a bunch of things, right? AI can create adverts out of nothing. But guess what? You have to give them the correct prompts. If you're not giving the correct prompts, obviously it's not going to give you the correct output. It's all about the input. If your input is bad, the output's bad. If you eat a bunch of McDonald's every single day for 7 days, you're going to get fat. If you eat a bunch of fruit, you're going to stay healthy. Now, if you give yourself a bunch of McDonald's every day and you eat a bunch of McDonald's, and then you're like, but why am I not healthy? You're the problem. What you're putting inside your body is the problem. It's the same thing with AI. So if you come to me and say, I can't believe Barry's promoting AI. Of course I'm promoting AI. I'm promoting writers using AI to help them. I'm not promoting you to go use AI to make low quality books. I'm saying still put effort, still do it correctly. Don't be lazy. If you're lazy here, it doesn't matter. It's whatever you put in. If you don't know what to put in, obviously it's going to give you bad outputs. You need to give good inputs to get good outputs. Anyway, I'm not going to go too deep into AI. That's a whole separate video. Let's see what I'm missing here. Okay. Formatting, that's the next step. This is the way everything is positioned inside. So formatting is basically this. Your book needs to look like a book. Again, when it comes to formatting, you don't really have many options. It's either you do it yourself or you hire someone to do it. All up to you. If you're going to hire someone, if you want basic formatting, which I wouldn't recommend you have basic formatting, because if you have really good formatting, it would help you stand out with your competitors as well. It's really going to help you stand out because most people completely skip the formatting. They don't think it's that important. When I do formatting, I want to make sure it's better than the competitors. Just formatting alone can increase your sales by fixing your formatting. But guess what? A lot of publishers, because it's not promoted on YouTube, like publishers are not really aware of how important formatting is. Formatting alone can increase your sales. And again, I'm not saying this out of ego. I've tested it. I have the data. I had a book that was under 100,000 ABSR. I was making less than a sale a day. And then what I did is I rewrote the whole book with AI, right? And then I redid the formatting. And then now it's making over 5 sales a day. Now, I know 5 sales a day is not the most impressive thing in the world, but it was on 0 sales a day. It wasn't like 1 every 2 days. And then now it's 5 a day. And I used AI, which is lower quality, and then formatting, which most people just completely skip. Now, you can either do this yourself. I like to do formatting myself. I'll put some Bob Marley in the background. I'm good. I'm enjoying life. Sometimes I'll hire, but very rarely because I actually enjoy the formatting. I have more control. I can do like creative things. And when I do it myself, I usually use InDesign. Now, a lot of people might use Canva, which is completely fine, but I usually use InDesign. If you're going to hire someone, you can find lower quality people on Fiverr and things like that. If you want really high quality formatting, I would recommend 99 Designs. You're going to find really high quality people on 99 Designs, but they're also going to be high prices. However, price determines quality, depends on how high quality you want to have it. If 99 Designs is too expensive for you, then you can just go on Upwork or freelance websites and then find formatters yourself. You can go through their portfolios. Again, you can ask for samples. You can go through multiple different people, ask for samples just like we did for the writing, and then you can pick the best one for you. So great. Now you have your outline, you have the writing, someone wrote it for you or used the AI correctly to write the book. You hire someone, whatever you're going to do, this is the process for the interior of the book. Now, just as a bonus thing, you might want to have images or illustrations. This, again, you're either going to hire someone. If you know how to do illustrations, you can make them yourself. Images, you can use like stock images, Shutterstock, things like that. You can find images online. You can find royalty-free images if you don't want to pay for it. But I would recommend you pay for them because if you pay for the images, they're usually higher quality. It's harder to find high-quality royalty-free images. And if you pay for it, you have the license to use it and everything. So you're super safe. So images, you can use those websites, illustrations. You can find illustrators to hire if you want. Or again, if you know how to use AI correctly, you can create super high quality illustrations with AI. And they can stay consistent as well, as long as you use the correct softwares and things like that. One final thing, let's talk about the book cover, because that's probably the most important thing, or arguably the most important thing. So the book cover is way more simple than the interior. It's more important, way more important. I know it's going to sound like not professional, but it is more important. Like you can make a bunch of sales with just the cover alone. Even with bad interior, as long as the cover is good, you can make even more sales. However, obviously if the interior is good, you're going to make a bunch more sales anyway. But the cover, same thing as before. Whatever we did before to figure out what was good about the books when it came to research, same thing with the cover. So we're going to take all those competitors. They have similarities, right? You're probably going to find a bunch of similarities on the book covers themselves from the people that are already making sales. You want to extract as many of them as possible. So we're basically going to create almost like a competitor vision board. Not a vision board, but I'm going to say like a competitor. I'm just going to say a competitor board. So what we're going to do is just put all of those book covers on one piece of paper or one Photoshop file or one Canva file. Put them all next to each other. And then when you put them all next to each other, you're going to find similarities and differences. What we care about is the similarities. Now, when it comes to similarities, it's hard for beginners to figure out what's similar, but really take a look at it. Listen, don't take the board. Okay, don't just slap them all and look at it for like 10 minutes. Don't do that, especially if you're a beginner. If you don't know anything about design or book cover design or nothing like that, don't look at it for 10 minutes. Look at it for a long time. Look at every single detail. So you might find similarities in the images used, right? So if we're doing a taco cookbook, what I want to look at is, okay, are they showing one taco or are they showing multiple tacos? If the one selling have like a bunch of tacos like this is like the plate from bird's eye view, not a bird's eye view, but from a top-down view. If they show a taco right here, and then another taco right here, and another taco right here, and then this one shows another taco right here, and another taco right here, like from a bird's eye view. I don't know if this makes sense. And then this one also shows tacos from a bird's eye view. Then I know that tacos from a bird's eye view is one of the similarities that might work. It might make my cover more effective or more appealing. If I see that all the ones that aren't selling have one taco, and it's like a plate here, and then there's like a taco. How am I going to draw a taco now? This is what a taco looks like. Wow, that's such a bad taco. But I hope you get the point. Let's say this is a plate, and there's one taco like here on the plate, right? Not a top-down view, but like a side view. And then these are the ones that aren't selling. Then I know, hey, maybe the way the tacos look are going to affect my cover. Also, colors might be another one. If all of these have red and orange, which might be like Mexican colors, I don't know if that's Mexican colors. Again, you have to do the research. I haven't done the research. I'm just thinking from my brain. If the ones that are selling have similar colors and the ones that are selling have completely different colors, guess what? Your competitors are telling you what colors your customers are most attracted to. Again, when you're making the book cover, you're not making it for yourself. You're not making it for your neighbor or your parents or your kids or no one. You're making it for your customer, for your target audience. And you already have the data on what's selling. So look at what's similar on those covers. There's so many different things to look at. Look at the fonts. What type of fonts are they using? What kind of colors are they using? What main images are they using? What things do they have on the book cover? What's the layout of the book cover? There's so many. Now, when it comes to the book cover, it's a little bit difficult for beginners, especially for beginners, because if you're a beginner, you probably don't have a good skill set when it comes to design. You might think you have a good skill set, which is completely fine. If you have experience behind your back and you know you have a good skill set, then great. You can make the cover yourself. But if you don't really know anything about design, I would strongly recommend you hire someone to design your cover. Why? Because it is one of the most important things. And if you know that you're not the most capable when designing book covers, then it's way better to hire someone. Now, but Barry, I don't have money. If you have a little bit of money, spending on the book cover is probably one of the best investments you can make. If you have a little bit of money, if I had only a little bit of money, I would spend it on the book cover and do everything else by myself if I didn't know anything about book covers. Now, regardless of which one you pick, when you do find similarities between the book covers that are selling and you find like differences and you see how you can make your book cover, what you're going to do is you want to design a content brief or a design brief, not a content brief, a design brief. What does this mean? This is essentially, let me just write it because I can't multitask. So a design brief is basically one sheet of paper or just like one Word document where it talks about everything your cover needs to have. Or like you need to be able to give this piece of text to someone that has no idea what book you're making and they can visually see the cover just by reading it. So a design brief is just information on the type of book cover that you want. It doesn't have to be 100% exact, but I do want to say, hey, the book is for this type of person. This is their age. This is the kind of style I'm going for. Are you going for a more friendly style? Are you going for a more formal one? If you're doing a book about war, you might want a more serious tone. You might want darker colors. You might want brown or black colors or gray colors. If you're doing a fun kids book, you might want friendly fonts and colorful fonts. You might want a glittery feeling, things like that. So your design brief is information on the type of book cover that you want. It doesn't have to be super, super specific, but whether you're doing this yourself or you're hiring, you need to have this. If you're doing this yourself and you don't have a design brief beforehand, then it's like you're making the process a little bit longer because you're going to have to start experimenting and doing things from scratch with no guidance. This is essentially guidance because I can't see what's in your brain unless you kind of tell me what's in your brain, right? Again, same thing if you're hiring someone. If you're hiring someone, you need to give them a design brief. Otherwise, they're just going to do what they want. But your design brief is based on data, right? Everything is based on data. You need to base everything on data if you actually want to treat this like a real business. So when you make your design brief, you're basing it on data, you're basing it on your competitors, you're basing it on the similarities and the way everything's positioned. You're basing it on what already works. Now, obviously, you can add your own spin to it. You can add little things. However, if you're new and you're designing it yourself or you're hiring, at least copy what's already working and then add your own spin. Don't start from scratch completely by yourself. If everyone has similar book covers, great. Copy them, copy exactly what everyone else is doing, and then start adjusting. So if you know that you want a purple book cover instead of a red one, do everything exactly the same as the red one, everything the same font, same everything, and then start adjusting one by one. Then play around with a different font. Then play around with a different color. Then play around with a different image. That's the easiest way to make a high quality book cover that also stands out from your competitors. This is going to be a very long video, but I hope it's worth it. I'm going to go make a coffee and I'm going to be back. Okay, so next step is metadata. Now, what's metadata? This is basically all the keywords, essentially, all the pieces of text that Amazon reads behind the scenes. So in order for Amazon to figure out what your book even is, remember, Amazon doesn't have its own brain. It has to read something in order to figure out what your book is. What do I mean by this? Well, first, let's think about how someone actually finds your book on Amazon. So first, someone's going to search something, right? Once they search it, then they're going to click on your book. And then when they click on your book, they're going to look at your competitors. Let's just say, let's draw some eyes so we can represent that. They're going to take a look at your competitors, browse around, and then hopefully, if your book is good enough, they're going to buy your book. Now, the most important step right here, well, actually not the most important step, they're all equally as important. One without the other don't work. In order for someone to buy it, they have to pick your one. But in order for someone to pick your one, they have to actually click on it in the first place. And in order for someone to click on it, first they have to find it. So if you mess up this first part, you're making it impossible for someone to find your book. And if people don't find your book, they can't buy your book, right? So in order for someone to find our book, first we need to figure out, how do people search on Amazon? And many publishers get this wrong, especially new publishers. They don't understand how people actually search on Amazon. To make this super, super easy, let's just ignore the fact that we're selling a book for now. Let's just say we're selling, I don't know, maybe like Christmas lights, right? Let's say we're selling Christmas lights. If I'm looking for Christmas lights on Amazon, I'm going to search Christmas lights, right? Now, when I search Christmas lights, I might be looking for something very, very specific. So I want specific lights for my specific tree, I guess. So I'm going to search Christmas lights. I'm going to see a bunch of results. And then I'm going to see, oh, you know what? These aren't the Christmas lights that I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is red and white Christmas lights. So I'm going to put Christmas lights. If I do these two, it just means the same as this. I'm just not going to write Christmas lights again. I'm going to put Christmas lights, red and white. Great. Now we filtered the results, and now we're only shown red and white Christmas lights. But then what I might say is, oh, okay, well, I don't want the round lights. I kind of want the pointy lights, right? Because there's different types of Christmas lights. So I'm going to type in Christmas lights, red and white, pointy, right? And then maybe if I see that all of them that are popping up are like 3 meters or 5 meter lights, but I have a really big tree and I want a 10 meter lights, instead of me getting 2 of them and trying to mess it all together to make it work, I might just be looking for 10 meter Christmas lights. So my final one is going to be Christmas lights, red and white, pointy, 10 meters, right? And then now I narrowed the search results that I'm looking for, and then I can start clicking on all of those search results, start browsing to find the best one, and then actually buy the one that I'm looking for. So with this being said, this keyword right here, yes, it's relevant to what I'm looking for. However, this keyword is an impulse keyword. This is what I call an impulse keyword. This means it's just the first thing that comes to mind before you start narrowing down. It's usually how people search. Now, usually impulse keywords have the most amount of search volume. Now, because there's a high amount of search volume, it doesn't mean that it's the most effective keyword for your book. Now, I know, don't worry, I'm going to start talking about books as well, not just Christmas lights, but I hope this makes sense. So Christmas lights is just showing us all different types of Christmas lights. And because of the different search results, we can start narrowing it down and then being more and more accurate on what we're looking for. This keyword here, which one of these 2 keywords do you think someone who is searching for it is more likely to buy our Christmas lights? If we're selling red and white pointy 10 meter Christmas lights, what keyword do you think is most important for us? Or the one that has a higher chance of us actually making a sale? Do you think the person searching for Christmas lights, red and white, pointy 10 meters is more likely to buy our Christmas lights, which are red and white and they're pointy and they're 10 meters? Or the person searching for Christmas lights only? Well, probably this one, right? Why? Because it's so accurate. This is what I call a buyer intent keyword. Now, buyer intent keywords are basically keywords that they have a higher chance of actually converting into a customer because they're more likely, like they're so specific, they're searching for something so specific that they're probably going to buy it. Like if I want to buy a Lamborghini, if I just say, hey, I'm looking for a Lamborghini, then I'm probably not actually looking for a Lamborghini. But if I say, I'm looking for a Lamborghini Huracan around 2017 in yellow and I want the yellow stitching inside, then great. I've probably done my research before and I want that car. I know how much they're priced. I know what they're worth. I know the maintenance costs and things like that because I'm so accurate in what I'm searching for. So when it comes to the metadata, what I like to do, the keywords that I like to find are buyer intent keywords. Now, just as a quick side note, the way Amazon works is Amazon is going to start reading your title, your description. You have 7 backend keywords on the backend. So when you upload your book on Amazon, it's going to ask you for 7 backend keywords. These backend keywords are very important. Here, you get to tell Amazon exactly what book you're selling. I'll do an example for books so you understand. So we have impulse keywords and buyer intent keywords. In the 7 backend keywords, let's say we're selling a paper airplane book, right? So if I have just airplane book, great. This is an impulse keyword, right? Because is it a paper airplane book? No, it can be an airplane encyclopedia. It can be a a pilot's book, how to fly a plane. It can be anything related to airplanes, anything. But we're not selling anything. We're selling a paper airplane book. So now we can narrow it down to paper airplane book, right? This is more accurate. So someone searching for a paper airplane book is more likely to buy our paper airplane book than someone searching for any airplane book. Now, guess what? Who is our airplane book for, right? If we're selling a paper airplane book, we could be selling a paper airplane book for like 5-year-olds or for 12-year-olds. It's two completely different books. Like something built for a 12-year-old is not going to be attractive to a 5-year-old or a parent buying it for their 5-year-old because it's too advanced. And the opposite applies. Something that's built for a 5-year-old is not going to be attractive to a 12-year-old, especially for a parent buying a 5-year-old book for a 12-year-old. It doesn't make any sense. So another keyword we might have is paper airplane book, maybe the gender for boys, and then ages 10, let's say, if that's what our book is. So now this keyword is an impulse keyword. It's still relevant, but it's an impulse keyword. But this keyword right here is the actual keyword we're looking for, because this is a long tail keyword, because this is more likely to convert for our book. It's a buyer intent keyword. That someone is actually looking to buy your book if they search paper airplane book for boys ages 10. Why? Because it has these 3 elements that I look for in keywords. First of all is the niche. What is the niche of this keyword? It's this one here. I just completely messed that up, but it's okay. This here, airplane book. Airplane book is the niche, right? Because it can be any airplane book in the world. It can be about anything. However, because we have the word paper right here, this is the sub-niche, right? So essentially it's more specific. What type of airplane book are we selling? So we have the niche, the sub-niche, but most importantly, we also have this. We have the target audience. So who is it for? Who is this for? For boys. So someone who's searching for girls, we're not going to show up, and we don't want to show up, because what's the chance of someone searching for a book for girls to buy our book that's specifically made for boys? Very, very low. Now we're showing up for like irrelevant keywords. And then over here we have even more specific, ages 10. Which is just a more specific target audience. So it's not for ages 4, it's not for ages 16, it's for ages 10, because each book is different. So when it comes to doing the keyword research, what I'm looking for is buyer intent keywords. Now we only have like 7 backend keywords. We have 7 places to put keywords. I want to put as many buyer intent keywords as possible. Not as many impulse keywords, buyer intent keywords. And I'm going to tell you why they're so powerful. Like the way Amazon works is they read the title, subtitle, your description. They might read some reviews, editorial reviews. Any text on your Amazon listing, Amazon's going to read it to determine what your book is about. Now, what you can do is you can add these keywords discreetly inside of those areas. That way, Amazon's going to read this, and then you're telling Amazon, hey, Amazon, this is the niche that I'm publishing in. This is the sub-niche I'm in. This is who my book is for. So you're giving Amazon actual information to help you push you in the correct places. Amazon wants to help you, but only if you help Amazon. If I say, hey, Amazon, I'm publishing an airplane book, you're making it very, very, very hard for Amazon. Even for yourself, if I tell you, hey, I have a cookbook. Do you know what cookbook I have? No. If I tell you I have a taco cookbook, great. Now you're more specific. Now you understand a little bit more about my cookbook. You know what type of cookbook. So if I tell you, hey, I have a taco cookbook, go sell this cookbook, then you're probably going to go find people that are looking for a taco cookbook. You're not going to go to people looking for a Greek cookbook, right? I hope this makes sense. So we want buyer intent keywords. We want keywords with niche, sub-niche, and target audience. You can also have keywords where it's just a niche or sub-niche without a target audience. You can mix and match. There's 7 different places to put it. But we want to find as many buyer intent keywords as possible. Now, here's why these are so powerful. Because the way Amazon works is even if you give Amazon this keyword in your backend keyword boxes, then what Amazon's going to do is it's also going to show you for paper airplane. It's also going to show you for paper airplane book. It's also going to show you for airplane book for boys. So it can mix and match the words in here. And because we gave it this super accurate buyer intent keyword or search term, it can separate it and show you in even more places. However, if we only give it airplane book, we gave it 2 words. What is Amazon going to do with 2 words? They're still good, it still works, but this will work even more effectively because you're giving Amazon more information or more accurate information. And then that way, Amazon can start expanding your reach and showing you in the correct places. Now, how do you find these keywords? Super, super simple. Some publishers like to use the paid way. Now, the paid way is not 100% necessary. What the paid way is going to do is you basically pay for some software. Usually, I use Helium 10. Helium 10 for me is the best. There's also other softwares like what's Kindlepreneurs one, Publisher Rocket, and things like that. There's so many softwares out there. However, I tend to use Helium 10. Haven't used it in a while, but again, Helium 10 is out there for you to use if you want to use paid software. And what you can do is basically just put paper airplane book, and then you're going to use, what is it? Well, you can use Cerebro. So Cerebro is basically you put the ASIN of your competitors, and then it spits out all the keywords that they're using, and you can just filter it out, find the ones that are most relevant for your book. There's a little fly here. It's okay, I'll just leave it to its thing. So you can use Cerebro, you take the ASINs of all your competitors, you slap it in Cerebro, Cerebro's going to spit out a bunch of keywords for you, you filter out the relevant ones, and then you have a big list of keywords basically. Make sure you only pick relevant keywords. You don't want irrelevant keywords. You don't want book for boys. That's way too broad. It's just like, it can be literally anything. Literally anything. Now, you can have some broad ones, like airplane book or airplane book for boys, and you might have some more highly relevant ones, like paper airplane book for boys, or airplane book for boys ages 7 or ages 10, or whatever you are selling. Now, with Helium 10, you can also put keywords, and then it will give you relevant keywords as well, but Cerebro is usually the best, your best bet. It's like the easiest way to find the keywords. Now, if you don't want to pay for software, because Helium 10 is like $100 a month, then what you can do is the free way. And the freeway is still good enough. You can still find all the keywords. And here's how the freeway works. Very, very simple. You go on Amazon and you go on the search bar. And then on the search bar, you're going to type in paper airplane book, for example. You want to type in your niche and your sub-niche. You can start with a niche and then you can go niche and sub-niche. And then what Amazon's going to do is in the search bar, it's going to give you recommended. So I'm going to type in here, paper airplane. And then there's going to be a bunch of auto suggestions right here. Guess what these auto suggestions are? Are these random keywords that Amazon just randomly gave you for random reasons? No, it's not random. Nothing is random. Everything is data. I don't have it written down here, but I'll write it here, data. Everything I'm talking about is data. Everything we're doing is relying on data. So what Amazon's going to do is it's going to give you a bunch of keywords related to what you typed in, based on what other people are searching. I hope that makes sense. Every single keyword that comes up here, there is search volume for it. People are constantly searching for it again and again and again and again and again. That's why Amazon is putting it here. Because it's saying, hey, people that put paper airplane, they also search for these ones that are related to what you put. And then here is going to say paper airplane for boys, paper airplane book for boys ages 7, easy paper airplane book for boys. And then what you can do is just take all of these suggestions, slap them in a Google Docs document, not Google Docs, a Google Sheets document or something like that, whatever you want, doesn't really matter, as long as you have the keywords in a list. Well, whatever your niche is, there might be variations. Sometimes with how to draw, you might put how to draw book for boys, and then there might also be learn to draw book for boys. Sit and think about all the variations. You can look at your competitors, look at their titles, look at their description, look at the words they're using on their listing. Again, look at the data. Everything's already there for you. You really don't have to do much work. Everything is already there. You just have to go find it. You don't have to create anything from your own brain. Everything is literally already there. So you can just type it here. Amazon's going to give you a bunch of auto suggestions. Just collect as many as possible, as many relevant ones as possible. You might want to separate it with broad keywords and like more specific keywords. So buyer intent keywords and impulse keywords. And then now you're going to have a list of keywords that you can use. Now, where are you going to put these keywords? Well, once you have this list, you can just sprinkle them anywhere you want in your title, your subtitle. I don't want to kill the fly because I can't kill anything, to be honest. I feel bad even killing flies, so I don't know how to get rid of it. Come on, man. It's okay, I'll leave it there. So what you're going to do is you're going to put those keywords in your title. You're going to have your title, whatever your niche is, how to make tacos for beginners in 5 steps or less. You can add your USP to your title. But you're going to have your title, you're going to have like your niche, sub-niche, your target audience, and then SEO. So niche, sub-niche, target audience, and SEO. SEO is basically any keyword that's available, not available, keywords that you found. And regardless, especially with the title, it's already going to have the keyword anyway. Like, it's very hard. If I'm making a paper airplane book for boys, it's very hard for me to make a title that doesn't say paper airplane book for boys. So it's going to have the keyword regardless. Now, your subtitle, again, what you want to do with your subtitle is, again, add SEO keywords, but also make sure you explain even further what's inside your book. So if there's like 72 planes that you can make, you can put 72 creative planes for boys to make, or blah, 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 whatever. You want to be a little bit more descriptive, or at least more clear. Someone that reads the subtitle needs to be more clear on what's actually inside the book. So your subtitle needs to be descriptive or clear. Do not make titles or subtitles that are like mystic things, like someone has to figure out what's inside. That's not going to work. Unless you have a big marketing budget and you have like outside marketing, or you're an authority figure or things like that, then that title is going to be very, very hard for it to work. You want to convert someone that's cold, that has no idea who you are. They're searching you on Amazon. They see you for the first time. You want them to know exactly what your book is about as soon as they read the title or subtitle. If I tell you chair yoga for seniors, 150 easy chair yoga exercises you can do at home in 5 minutes or less, you know exactly what the book is about, exactly who it's for, exactly what's inside, where to do the chair yoga poses, how many yoga poses are inside, just from reading the title and subtitle. I hope that makes sense. Then, your description. What are you going to do with your description? You're basically going to take all the features of your book. So what's actually inside your book, whether you have illustrations inside your book, whether you talk about specific things in your book, what your chapter talks about. So if we're doing like the beekeeping book, and it's like, hey, how to raise bees, how to be safe, blah, 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 whatever you're talking about inside the book. These are your features. If you're doing cookbooks, it's like, what are your themes? Do you have like meat recipes or fish recipes? If I'm doing tacos, do I have vegetarian tacos? Do I have spicy tacos? Do I have meat tacos, fish tacos? I don't know if you can make fish tacos. I don't know anything about cooking, but I hope you get the point. The features are what's inside your book. Now, along with the features in your description, you also want to talk about the benefits. So why should they even care that you have those features, right? That's very, very simple. Why they should care that you have those features. If I have a how to draw book, and then one of the features is that there's 200 different drawings that you can do, what's the benefit? For hours of drawing, or so you can easily find anything you want to draw, or something like that. I hope you get the point. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I know I'm keeping it super broad. I'm so sorry, but I hope you get the point. But that's what you want to do. And you also want to have SEO here as well. Now, you're going to have a bunch of keywords. And I know you might have questions like, should I have the same keyword in the title and the same keyword in the description? You get to pick. If you have paper airplane book for boys in your title, and then paper airplane book for boys in your description, great. It's not like Amazon's going to ban you forever, right? Like if you have it 3 times in your title and 7 times in your description, Amazon might say, hey, this guy's keyword stuffing. But if you keep it conservative, then you can have the same keyword twice, right? It doesn't really matter. Because if it's a keyword anyway, you're going to have it anyway. Like if you're selling a paper airplane book for boys, it's very hard for you not to have that keyword multiple times throughout your listing. Now, what you really want to do is try to have as many of those keywords sprinkled in, as many variations. So if there's like for boys, you have paper airplane book for boys in your title, but then I might have paper airplane book for boys ages 7 in my description. And then maybe somewhere else in my description, I might also have paper airplane book for children, for example, just to have that variation inside. So that's completely fine. You're going to have that big list. You're going to try and sprinkle them in as discreetly or as subtly as possible. Is it subtly or subtle? One of those 2 words. But you want to sprinkle them in. Now, because you're going to have like short tail keywords and long tail keywords, so buyer intent keywords and impulse keywords, you can sprinkle them in all together. It's okay. Don't overstuff it. But as long as you read it and it sounds natural, you're good to go. So make sure your description, you have all the features and benefits, because then people want to know what's inside and why they should care about it. And then this is for Amazon. So this is for the people, this is for humans, and this is for Amazon. Again, same with everything else. This is for humans, and Amazon, and this is for Amazon, and then this is for humans, and then this is for Amazon, right? The SEO is always for Amazon, and then the other part is always for humans. When it comes to metadata, you always want to have the perfect balance between something for humans and something for Amazon. They work together. You're selling to humans and you're also trying to convince Amazon to help you. And the more you give Amazon, the more accurate you are, the better Amazon going to index your book. Indexing essentially just means Amazon's going to read your title, subtitle, description, find your SEO keywords, and then figure out where to place you on Amazon. But you need to have your SEO correctly in order to index correctly and show up in as many relevant places as possible. So what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a bunch of keywords, right? 7 of these keywords are going to be in your backend box. Not your backend box, but they're going to be the backend keywords. You're going to have 7 backend keywords. This is when you upload your book. Then some of these other keywords are going to be in your SEO, right? So this is your title, subtitle, description. And then you're going to have some of these that are left over, that you can't place them in correctly. They might not fit as well, or you might be overstuffing it if you put these. That's okay, because these ones here, we're going to target them later on with Amazon ads. And when we target them with Amazon ads, again, we're going to be able to index for those keywords and show up and get more sales for these keywords. So it's okay to not include all the keywords you found, but try to have as many as possible. The 7 backing keywords, try to have as many highly relevant ones as possible. So super long ones, who is for, sub niche and niche. Remaining ones, make sure you sprinkle them in. Again, relevant ones. And then the other ones that might not be as relevant or things like that, you can just target them with Amazon ads. That way we're targeting all the keywords that we found. Now, final one is category. You're also going to select the category. The way you can do this is just simply go on your competitors, look at the categories they're in, and if the category is relevant, pick that category. Don't pick any categories that are irrelevant. Not worth it. Because Amazon is reading, right? Is reading your category. Amazon knows what the category is. If you give Amazon an irrelevant category, it's like me telling you, hey, I got a tacos cookbook, but go sell it in the Greek cookbook category. It's like, it doesn't make any sense, right? So if you have a tacos category, if you have a tacos cookbook, then make sure you put it in like Mexican cookbook category or something relevant. Make sure you select relevant categories. You can worry about the bestseller badge later on, but for now, especially when you're launching your book, you want to worry about being as relevant and accurate as possible. Metadata is all about helping Amazon. And if you give Amazon the correct data, Amazon will help you. If you don't give Amazon the correct data, Amazon will mess you up. You won't be shown in the correct places, you won't be exposed to the correct audience, and no one's going to buy your book. Awesome. So that's the metadata. We're almost there. Next one is actually launching our book, because now we did the research, we know we're going to make money. We created a high quality book, again, based on data. Everything is based on data. So we know we have a high quality book that can make money. If we do make sales, we're going to get a bunch of positive reviews because it's a high quality book. We gave Amazon the correct metadata, so it positions us in the correct place. Now is actually time to launch our book. Now, the launch is very, very, very important. If you mess up the launch, you can still succeed, but it's going to take a little bit longer and it's going to require a little bit more effort. If you launch the book correctly, great. It's going to be so easy for you. I'm just going to push you super high. If you launch the book correctly, it's just everything is so much easier. Life is so much easier. Now, when it comes to launching your book, Amazon has something called a honeymoon period. I don't like to call it a honeymoon period because honeymoon is something like positive. I like to call it the initiation phase. This is more appropriate. Now, what's the initiation phase? Amazon is going to look at the first 20 to 30 days of your book. So it's going to take the first 20 to 30 days of your book, and it's going to see some very, very important pieces of data. It's going to see your click-through rate, which essentially means how many people are actually clicking on your book. It's going to see how many of the people that looked at your book actually clicked on your book. So let's say 10. And then after they clicked on your book, Amazon's going to look at your conversion rate. So how many of these people actually converted into sales? So let's say 2 people actually bought. So someone searching paper airplane book for boys, someone searched it. 1,000 people saw your book. 1,000 people searched paper airplane book for boys. They saw your book and 10 of them clicked. Now Amazon knows you have a 1% click-through rate for this keyword. That's how Amazon figures out like, hey, how relevant is this book for this keyword? Or how good is the book cover for this keyword? Because that's what's going to determine if they're going to click on your book or not. That's why we need to make sure we have a good book cover beforehand. Remember, everything is based on data anyway. So we want to make sure we maximize the data. The higher this is, the more Amazon will push you higher up the rankings. Everything we're doing in the launch period is so we can rank super high, super fast. So 1,000 people search paper airplane book for boys. 1% of them click. If 1% of them click, then Amazon's going to look at your conversion rate. Based on the people that clicked, how many of them bought? Well, this is 20%. So now you have a 20% conversion rate. And what Amazon's going to do is, for this keyword, specifically this keyword, what is Barry's paper airplane book click-through rate compared to his competitors? And what is his conversion rate compared to his competitors? It's going to take these 2 pieces of data, it's going to compare it with your competitors, And then it's going to figure out where to position you in the ranking. If your click-through rate and conversion rate is higher than your competitors, it's going to boost you up. It's going to place you even higher than your competitors. Why? Because the higher you up in the search results, the more exposure you get, the more eyes you get, the more clicks you're going to get, the more sales you're going to get. The more sales you get, the more money Amazon makes. So if your conversion rate is low and no one's buying your book, Amazon doesn't want to show you at the top. It's not going to show everyone the book that no one's buying. Amazon wants to show everyone the book that everyone is buying. And because Amazon wants to figure this out as fast as possible, it looks at the first 20 to 30 days. What it's actually going to do is it's actually going to place you higher than usual the first 20 to 30 days, just so we can collect data faster and it can see these two numbers quicker. So we can figure out where to place you even faster. Now, it's going to do this for every single keyword you're indexed for separately. It's not going to give you an overall. I think it does give you like an overall, but it usually looks at the keywords separately. So your click-through rate and conversion rate might be completely different for paper airplane book for boys and completely different for paper airplane book for boys ages 7 to 10. You're going to be ranking differently for each keyword. And again, it's going to be different for paper airplane or paper airplane book. Everything is going to be different. Every keyword is separate. So Amazon's going to boost you up for the first 20, 30 days, look at your data, and then it's going to determine if it should keep boosting you or if it should lower you. So the initiation phase or the honeymoon period is extremely important. You need to be solid. Now, if you followed everything we talked about in this video and you actually have a quality book cover, you didn't just like hire the cheapest designer you can find. Because again, if you're hiring bad designers, you're going to have low click-through rates. That's why you want quality. If your description isn't done correctly, you don't have a USP in your title, things like that, and your book is boring, your formatting is bad, when people are going to go and look inside, they're not going to want to buy. They're going to buy your competitors. So your conversion rate is going to be low. So everything we talked about is based on data for us to have the highest click-through rate possible, the highest conversion rate possible. And if this is high, it boosts you up. If this is low, it boosts you lower. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In order for us to have the highest conversion rate possible, which means people end up buying our book instead of our competitors, we already did everything we possibly could based on the data from our research to create a better book than our competitors, or at least a book that can compete with everyone that's already out there making sales. So we did the research correctly. We have a high quality book. We're showing up in the right place. However, we need trust because no one buys a book without trust. When was the last time you bought a book on Amazon with no reviews? Never. Why? Because you don't trust something with no reviews, right? So it's super, super important that we get reviews. Now, if you're brand new, you probably don't have email lists and things like that. So I'm going to show you the easiest way to get reviews. That's by using book review websites. Don't tell me to recommend websites. There's so many out there. Go do your research. I'm telling you, there's so many book review websites out there. We have Book Bounty, we have Pubby, we have Book Sirens, Get Book Reviews. I get emails every single day from someone new saying, hey Barry, can you please promote us on YouTube? We have a new book review website. Please promote us on YouTube. I don't do that. I'm sorry. I can't promote anyone on YouTube. I'm not here to promote anything. There's only one thing that I offer, and that's to work with me. If you want to work with me and then you want to figure out this entire process with me, you want my help to help you go through this process and actually start making money, great. I can help you with that. But I'm not here to promote anyone else's things because I don't know if they're good. I can promote my ones. I can promote my offer, my services, because I know it's good. But what these websites do is very simple. You're right here, okay? You publish your book, you put it on Amazon, and then there's also a bunch of people over here. Now, all of these people are using this website. They're uploading their books. These are all the books on the websites. And then here's what happens. You pick a book from this website, you go on Amazon and you buy the book. You read the book and you leave a review. When you leave a review, the website gives you points. Let's say 2,500 points. Great. Now you have your book, and your book, you can upload it on the website for someone else to pick up, buy, and review. Now your book might only cost 1,500 points. Now the points are based on the length of the book and the price of the book and so many other things. But if it costs you 1,500 to upload your book, great. Now your balance, you still have 1,000 left. And then again, you can go buy another book, leave a review, get more points. Let's say you get another 1,000 points here. And then now these 1,000 points get added to this. So now you have 2,000 points. And then now you can upload your book again for someone else to review. And then they do the same. They pick up a book, they leave their book. This guy might pick up your book. This is your book. This guy might pick up your book. And then you might pick up this guy's book. And this guy might pick up this guy's book, right? So everyone's like picking up other people's books. They're getting paid points. And then you can use your points to upload your book again, right? So now you can start getting reviews on Amazon using these book review websites. Again, there's so many out there. You can pick the one that's best for you. Do your research. It's different for everyone. Pick the one that's best for you. Now, here's the very, very, very important part. And I still can't believe people don't talk about this. Like, I can't believe I'm talking about this and people are still like, wow, this is the first time I've heard about this. Here's what I'm going to tell you. This is how you do the best launch possible. The best launch possible. Well, here's what I do with my clients anyway. First, we publish the ebook. This is assuming that the paperback is the one that makes the most amount of sales. So we're going to publish the ebook and then the honeymoon period is going to start. So now we have 20 to 30 days to boost the ebook. But guess what? We don't really care about the ebook. This is not what's going to make us money. We don't care about the ebook that much. Again, we still want to have a high quality ebook, but we just don't care about it as much because it's not the one that's going to bring us the money in. But what it is going to do is it's going to bring us reviews, right? So now we can use this ebook to collect reviews on the book review websites. And then once we have enough reviews, then we launch the paperback. Because that way, the paperback is going to have a separate honeymoon or initiation phase. And that way, we're going to have a high conversion rate in the first 20 to 30 days. And Amazon's going to push our paperback super, super high. Now, if you have around 10 reviews and then you publish the paperback, that's like, meh, not the best. If you have around 50 reviews, that's really good. If you have around 80, that's awesome. And then if you have around 100 reviews, that's gangster. I'm going to call it gangster. Now, is this going to take some time? Of course it's going to take some time if you only rely on the book review websites. There's other ways to get reviews. I'm not going to go too deep into it. But book review websites, I had a client, the same client that we talked about before. They use book review websites. They got the ebook to 100 reviews. And then they launched the paperback. And they launched it within the first 2 months. It reached 15K in revenue. Why? Because it already had a super high conversion rate. We had an amazing cover. Metadata was all correct. Quality inside. We did the research. We gave people what they wanted. They had their own USP. Everything was done correctly. So of course it's going to be high on Amazon. Of course it's going to have a low ABSR because everything we did was relying on data. We didn't randomly just publish books. We published books that we knew were going to work. Now, obviously there's always a chance it's not going to work. I'm not a psychic. I can't just publish hyper successful books out of nowhere. But the more data we look at, then the more confident we are. The same applies for you. The more data you look at, the more confident you are in your book. And then it's just it's obvious that the book is going to sell because you're relying on data, not ego. Now, again, not 100% of the time your book is going to be like a 15K book per month. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that the more you look at the data, the more likely you are to make sales. Now, even if you collect 50 reviews for your ebook and then you launch your paperback, that's still good enough. That's still good enough. And then you just keep collecting reviews. But just make sure you collect reviews for your ebook. So then when you launch your paperback, it doesn't matter if it's a month after the ebook or 2 months after the ebook or 3 months after the ebook. As long as you launch your paperback with a decent amount of reviews, you're going to have a high conversion rate, assuming you did everything else correctly as well. You should have a high conversion rate, high click-through rate, and then Amazon's going to push you even higher in the rankings. And it will be easy for you to rank #1 on Amazon for your relevant keywords. Awesome. So now because we know that our click-through rate is super high, we have a good book cover, and we know that our conversion rate is really high because we have good amount of reviews and we did our description correctly, then great. Now we can also launch ads as well for our paperback because that way we're going to give it an even bigger boost. Now, when it comes to ads, you need to have all of these correctly before you launch ads. If you mess up any of these parts and you run ads, your ads are probably not going to be profitable because one of these is going to be holding you back. You might still make a little bit of profit, but you're probably not going to be maximizing your profit. I have so many clients that come to me, they're making $200 a month when they could have been making 1,000. But one of these steps right here is holding them back. Their formatting might not be good. Their book cover might not be good. Their metadata, their SEO isn't done correctly. Their reviews aren't effective. Their description isn't effective. There's always things holding them back from actually reaching the big numbers. They have a quality book. It's just there's one of these things that's holding them back. And it's rarely the ads. Sometimes it is the ads, like the campaign structures aren't done correctly, but most of the times it's behind the scenes of the ads. The ads just show you to more people. So if you're being shown to more people and you're losing money, it's not being shown to more people that's costing you money. It's your book cover not getting a high enough click-through rate, or it's you not having a high enough conversion rate, your description not done correctly, not enough reviews. Your formatting inside might not be good. Your unique selling point, your angle, your branding, your positioning, your marketing might not be done correctly. But anyway, let's talk about ads and then we'll end this video. So when it comes to ads, I could sit here and talk about ads for 2 hours, but I'm going to give you the absolute core campaigns that you need to run if you're going to follow this, what I'm saying. These are the core campaigns that you need to run. The first campaign, you're going to pick your most hyper relevant keywords, all those buyer intent keywords, you're going to run them in a keyword campaign. In that keyword campaign, you're going to run it as broad match. Why broad match? Because if I give Amazon paper airplane book for boys, I'm not going to write it here, but paper airplane book for boys, what Amazon's going to do with broad match is going to go find other relevant keywords. So now, because you gave Amazon one keyword, it's going to find another 10, 20, 30, 50, 70 different keywords, right? So you're exposing yourself to even broader versions of this keyword. You're exposing yourself to more positions on Amazon, but relevant positions, because you're giving Amazon a relevant keyword. If you give Amazon an irrelevant keyword, it's going to expose you to even more irrelevant keywords, and then your ad costs are going to be high, and then your profit is going to be low. You're going to be losing money on ads. So the first one is broad match, hyper relevant keywords. So you're going to have a keyword campaign. These are going to be your hyper relevant keywords. So they're usually going to be long tail. So you're going to have one campaign with long tail keywords. Usually I would only go around 15 keywords. I wouldn't put more than 15 keywords in a campaign. So pick your 15 the most hyper relevant ones. So your 15 most relevant keywords, long tail keywords, buyer intent keywords, put them in a broad match campaign, let it run. You're also going to do the same. So you're going to do another campaign, again, a keyword campaign, but these are going to be short tail keywords. Again, broad match though, because we want to expose ourselves to as many places as possible on Amazon. However, we still want relevant places. We don't want irrelevant keywords, but these can be short tail. So this one can be paper airplane book. That's a short tail keyword, but it's still relevant. Airplane book, you can test it. Again, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. I'm not a psychic. I can't predict the future. You have to run it, test it yourself. Again, it really depends on like how good of a quality your book is. If your book is really bad and your metadata is messed up, just because you ran the campaigns that I told you doesn't mean, pow, everything's just fixed. But the better you do this, the more effective your ads are going to be, 100% guaranteed. I guarantee you, the better your metadata, the higher quality your book is, the better your ads will run. 100% guaranteed. So you're going to have a keyword campaign, broad match, everything long tail. You're going to have a keyword campaign, broad match, all the short tail ones. Again, 15 keywords or less. And then you're going to take a look at your competitors, the ones that are selling, and then you're going to advertise on them as well. So you're going to have one more campaign. There's going to be async campaign, everything on exact match. These are product campaigns. They're going to be shown on your competitors. If then none of this makes sense to you, this is not the video for you. Go on my channel, go find my Amazon ads videos. That's going to be more helpful for you. This one's more of a broader overview. And then again, try to keep this 15 ASINs or less, because Amazon kind of has a problem with targeting more than 15 keywords. Like even if you put 100 keywords in a campaign, which is definitely not something that you should do. But again, I'm not here to judge. But if you have 100 keywords in a campaign, I guarantee you less than 25 are actually making a difference. They're actually getting impressions or actually getting clicks. So these are the three campaigns that I would run. I would run a long tail keyword campaign in broad match. I would run a short tail keyword campaign in broad match. And I would run an ASIN campaign, product campaign, with all my competitors that are selling. That way I'm showing in the correct places when people are searching, and I'm showing on top of my competitors that people are buying. And then I know I'm going to steal their sales because I did everything else correctly. So now we have SEO, right? So we're being shown in the correct places. Then we have a high click-through rate because our book cover is effective. We have a high conversion rate. We're making sales because we have trust from the reviews that we added. And also we have good formatting inside, so people are more inclined to buy our book. We have our unique setting point, all of the good stuff. We're making sales. And then also with Amazon ads, we're targeting even more people. So we're bringing even more people to a high quality book cover, even more people to a high converting listing page. So then even more people will end up buying our book. That's essentially it. Now, if you want me to help you with this entire process, just go down in the description. I'm more than happy to help you. If you don't want my help, again, that's completely fine. You can just go out there, do this yourself. But if you do want my help, description, you'll see how you can work with me. If you want to do this yourself, then go for it, no problem. And if you want to see more YouTube videos from me, go click on this video right here. Super, super, super valuable video. It's really going to help you out. But yeah, I mean, go out there and make a bunch of money with KDP.